I'm Christian Malesic, Executive Officer of the HBA of Berks County, Pennsylvania. And I'm not an attorney. I am an MBA. We're going to translate the lofty ivory tower language of the attorney into thingamajig, how you doing, and whatchamacallit, so that the average Joe and Jane contractor can apply it to their business today. Although this is based on Pennsylvania law, it will apply in most other states as well. Written, verbal, or applied, we're on page 2 in the middle there. What applies here is something called the Doctrine of Reasonable Expectation. When you talk to the lawyers, they use this word reasonable quite a bit, which is kind of funny coming from the attorneys, but we'll hold off on the attorney jokes for now. The reasonable man standard is applied across the legal field. It's used quite often. In other words, they say, what would a reasonable man think or do? Obviously, man used to mean both the male and the female genders. What would it, because this goes way back, obviously coming first from English law and being translated into what we would think of as American law. And so there's a lot of history that goes behind this. And even the English law, some of that comes from Roman law and some of the other early civilizations. So this goes back to reasonable man theory. Not what would the crazy court gesture think, not what would the crazy cat lady down the street think, but what would the reasonable person? In other words, if I asked 100 people, at least probably 80 or 90 of them are the reasonable. You always have those crazy people that, 6 or 11% or something like that say we haven't landed on the moon, and these kind of things. So those are the people that we probably wouldn't think of as the reasonable ones. So this is who are the reasonable people. And the doctrine of reasonable expectation is applied to contracts. So, in other words, there has to be a does it make sense factor. It has to, in common language, does it pass the smell test? Does this make any sense? If the two of you had a contract and I read it, either before you engage in the terms of the contract, whatever it is, selling widgets, buying services, renting an apartment, whatever the case may be, if I read it, does it make sense? Do I feel as though each party is getting consideration? You're giving this and getting that, and she or he is giving this and getting that. Do I feel as though there's an equal balance? Does it make sense? Do I feel as though, for example, you couldn't have a contract for anything that's illegal. We couldn't have a contract that says, I will agree to give you $50 if you sell me a bag of marijuana. We couldn't have a contract that says I will agree to give you $1,000 if you agree to be my slave for X number of hours or X number of days. That's not something that's against the law. So we can't have a contract for anything that's illegal. We can, but it's not enforceable. And if we don't have an enforceable contract, why even make one?